R360 has been officially delayed then. Or is it dead? I mean, there were plenty of people when this thing was first announced saying this thing will never happen. And they're looking a little bit more right now, aren't they? There's a bit more fuel added to their fire. And there's other people saying that, well, now they've had to delay it, the credibility of this global franchise league has been dented such that it will make it even harder for it to happen in 2028. Where do you stand on that? I think there's lots to go at. I didn't want to get to the end of this week without covering this story, a significant one in rugby. And so, yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the chat down below. Give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe. Mike Tyndall has given his thoughts on his podcast this week where reference was made to referring to it as R180 now. And I think I have to say sorry for that. I think that was me. I said that. But in any case, he has said what he thinks, and he said he needs more time to speak with stakeholders. That was one of the things that was said on his podcast. The official statement from R360 says, the decision to shift our launch to 2028 is a strategic one based on timing. Launching under compressed timelines would not meet the standards we set for R360, nor deliver the long-term commercial impact. Now, that's a kind of corporate-friendly PR speak. Probably, if you were being honest, the statement would be, yeah, it's not launching till 2028 because we got cock-blocked by the unions. And yeah, this does look to be the defining moment when those 8 major unions and Wales separately giving a statement as well saying that if you play in that competition, you will not play for us in our competitions. And you could tell from what Mike Tyndall said on his own podcast, I don't think he was expecting that, and certainly not expecting this unprecedented move from the British and Irish Lions saying to the women, and the women's game probably stood much more of a chance of getting off the ground straight away and having a bigger impact on that particular sport as well. And the British and Irish Lions coming out and saying, yeah, if you go and play for R360 next year, you won't play for the Lions in 2027. And that appears to have been the final nail in the coffin for a 2026 launch. Although I do think things were still bubbling away the last couple of months. And you know that from the fact that there are NRL players who seemingly had signed up, were all in on it, who are now having to backtrack and go and try and find contracts, even at a pay cut, back in Australia. So, an interesting one. Your thoughts, like I say, mine are, well, there were lots of people that were sceptical from the very start, saying that this isn't needed, that it won't happen, and if it does happen, it won't work, and no one will watch it. And there's some people even saying it will do harm to what already exists. I'll touch upon all of that. I do think a 2028 launch makes more sense than a 2026 launch. And something that I said at the start and others have said is very ambitious to launch in 2026 because by that time you're a year away from a Rugby World Cup, which makes it quite a big move for a player, regardless of whether the national unions came out and said you can't play for your national team if you go and do this. Regardless of that, it's a big time to have such a shift from a club that you might be settled in, playing well, established competitions that are known quantities, and go and do something new, which could have consequences for your national spot. And that would be quite a tough sell. Whereas post-World Cup, it's much more achievable, you'd think. I mean, look at Richie Mwanga. After the 2023 World Cup, off he went to Japan for a bit of a sabbatical, earn a load of wedge, as he deserves to do. And now he's coming back to New Zealand to try and attack the 27 World Cup. Same goes for Joe Marchant. Went off to, got some good coin in France at Stade Francais. Now he's coming back and he wants a place in England's squad for the 2027 World Cup. I've got a number of thoughts on this, some which you may agree with, some you may disagree with. That's fine. But you know what? The one thing we can all agree on is that what a wonderful thing it would be to give the gift of smoothness this holiday season, right? Whether it's your partner, your brother, or just, you know what, treating yourself. Do it with Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. This is what you need to get you through the festive season looking fresh. And you can get a 15% discount on your entire order by going to manscaped.com and using code EGG. What is in this thing? And this is a lovely free toiletry bag, one of 2 free gifts you get. You've got the Weed Whacker 3.0 for your nose, your ears, and your eyebrows. Sorted. Oh, this is the one. This is the daddy. This is the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Groin and Body Hair Trimmer, the star of your holiday grooming package. And yeah, it's good to go anytime. Anytime, yeah, even now, 100%. Why not? Never a bad time. So get sorted. And make sure you have lovely baubles this festive seaon. Manscaped.com. Use code EGG for 15% off your entire order. That is manscaped.com/egg. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to keep the Christmas hat on for a second, with a good reason, because I have a number of thoughts, as I say, on R360. Here are my thoughts. Number one, international rugby has never been better. We can agree on that, right? Amazing, isn't it? So competitive. Number two, something has to change in the administration of rugby. Well, actually, lots has to change in the administration of rugby, but this is one of them. The global calendar. How are we nearly in 2026 and this still hasn't happened? Why? Because it requires a couple of turkeys to vote for Christmas, and they don't look like they're going to. It's mad to me that this hasn't happened. We have the crazy situation where we had a week of Premiership and URC last week. Now we have 2 weeks of Champions Cup. Then we'll go back to Premiership, Champions Cup. Then it will be Six Nations, and then players are playing all year round. Players are just having to play more and more rugby to make more money. That's not how you unlock the financial value of the sport. You get a blank sheet of paper, you get people round a table, and you put in a plan to grow the game, not just the top teams, but all countries. Have its own spot for club rugby, for international rugby, and that is how you do it. And it has not happened. And so that's another statement that I think is true. Things need to change. The third one that's true is domestic rugby is nowhere near as popular as international rugby, with the exception of France, where the top 14 is the big financial driver of the sport. In every other country in the world, the national team is what funds the sport, top to bottom. Even in England, where I am, that is so much the case that the men's national team funds all of rugby right down to grassroots, and it even funds the women's team, who are the world champions. It all comes from the men's national team. So that is where we are at. Club rugby's there. International rugby is there. I don't think these are controversial facts whatsoever. I think they are just facts. Tell me if you disagree. So I think... I think R360 is the solution? Not necessarily. No, I don't. Possibly not. Maybe people are right that it won't work. But what I do think it would do is actually incentivise the change that is necessary in rugby to happen. For example, we now have a Club World Cup starting in 2028. That wouldn't have happened had it not been for the threat of R360. 100% guaranteed that would not have happened. We've had decades of talking about it. All of a sudden, R360 nearly happens, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, France say, oh yeah, go on then, we will sort out the end of our domestic season so we can fit it in. Having said no for years and years before it. It's because of the threat of R360. So whether or not R360 is the solution is kind of secondary to me to actually, it could drive change. It could cause people to actually sit around a table and sort things out. Because fundamentally, my view is based on principle, and the principle is competition is a good thing. When you look at rugby, like competition is a good thing. It's no surprise that the best team in the world, South Africa, back-to-back world champions, world ranked number one and looking pretty ominously good, they have more depth than anybody else. That means that training, they say it themselves, training is often harder than actual matches because they have such good talent in their squad that they can train at an intensity that other teams cannot access. And then they're primed to play really well in international matches. That's because competition drives that standards. If they only had two amazing locks and one brilliant fly half, that wouldn't be the case. They've got these people pushing each other in training, and when they step out on a pitch, they know they've got to perform. Otherwise, well, that's it. Someone else will nick their spot. Competition is a good thing. And so I think R360 should be allowed to happen. Do I think it will work and be a massive success? I don't know. What I do know, though, is a friend of mine says, like a lot of people, I think, it's a terrible idea. It will never work. No one will watch it. No one will care. Well, if that is the case, I say let it happen. And we can watch it die in flames in front of us. But what people also seem to be saying at the same time is, it will ruin the competitions we already have. How can those two statements be true? No one will watch and no one will care and it won't work. And it will ruin the competitions we already have. I don't see how those two thoughts are consistent. My thoughts are consistent. Competition is a good thing. So let it happen. Let people decide if they want to watch it or not. And let players have the choice about where they play. And my views are consistent. I think Jack and Tom Willis should be allowed to play for England if the coach wants to pick them. And I think R360 should be allowed to happen. And that's completely separate from whether or not I think it will be a success, and whether or not it's aimed at me, or whether or not I'll be interested in watch it. I don't know. But I don't understand why we cannot have grown-up conversations and sit round a table and sort it all out, frankly. And I think if the people in charge of rugby sorted out a global season, then probably it takes the threat of R360 inevitably off the table, because I think you then start to unlock the value that is there in rugby and make the most out of the great competitions we have. My views. That's my views. Put it out there. I know in some cases it's not a majority or a popular call, but it's the view I hold, and I would love to know yours. Please let me know, and I will see you on the next one.